What's going on, guys? It is Tom and welcome back to a brand new video, and this is episode number 5 of Zero to Hero, and we are here for the Spanish Grand Prix. And one of the tracks I actually quite enjoy, the tire wear isn't too bad, so hopefully you guys are looking forward to it. And also just want to quickly say a massive thank you for the support on the series so far, guys. You guys are absolutely loving the return of Zero to Hero, and it's great for me to see. And there's going to be about 2 of these a week. There might be even 3 episodes of these a week, possibly quite soon, but for now I'm keeping it at 2. And also just a bit of an update, obviously spoiler alert, those of you who did watch Sochi, you know that last time out we finished in P4, so therefore there isn't upgrades or downgrades for this race, and crucially there is no jokers, so we're going to have a clean start from the back. However, we are using the same setup as the last time in Sochi, so no setup changes there. However, we are getting a pretty easy clean start from the back of the grid. So here we go. Speaking of the start itself, we're going to gear up to the vibrant red lights, and we are underway here at Catalonia, getting a pretty shaky start actually on these medium tyres, which are the softer compound of the 2 available this weekend. And honestly, this season so far, I could not get a good start for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the 2016 performance mod, but I could not get a good start in my Ferrari. But nevertheless, resuming back onto the action now, making our way into the first couple of corners here. And I could have gone for the dive bomb there, but I decided to not go for it and not risk myself. Instead, I'm going to try and size up a move here through turn 3 as I pull off a lovely little switchback on Harianto. And we're also going to just about pick off Pascal Wehrlein out the inside. And we're now going to go up the inside of Fernando Alonso there, and also Jenson Button, who we have a little bit of contact with, side by side now with Jenson Button. The guy himself finished P6 in Austria. Fantastic result from him in real life. And we're going to try and go around the outside of JB here. Can we make it stick? We're going to get forced onto the AstroTurf a little bit. We actually bang side pods there, and JB's going to hold on to the position for now, and we're going to have to settle for P17 for the time being. But I'm going to try and get past a couple of these cars as soon as I can to try and make my way through the field and then set myself up for a pretty decent race here as we go through turn 9 now. The fast right hander, we're going to get a beautiful exit on Jenson Button here, and we're going to get the move done and dusted way before the hairpin. And we're also going to go for a dive here up the side of the hairpin, go up the side of 3 cars, and we can't get signs, but we do get the Renault of Palmer and Nico Hulkenberg there, so a double overtake. However, Palmer though is trying to come back at me up the inside, but I'm going to have the better traction on the racing line here around the outside of the British driver, and that is the move for P14. So really good move there up the inside of the hairpin, really ballsy stuff, nice and late on the brakes, and so far pretty successful first lap, I've got to say. And makes a change from not having to like recover later on in the race, and just getting the moves done straight away here at the start of the race. And moving on to the start of lap 2, as you can see, we are on the back of Carlos Sainz now, picking up some lovely little slipstream here on the pit straight, side by side into turn number 1, and I'm going to get the much better braking on into turn number 1 on Carlos Sainz in his home race, and he's got no chance of matching me on brakes around here because I'm pretty confident in my Ferrari and on the brakes around this track, especially into turn 1. But later on, as you can see, we actually get a really good run on Felipe Nasr, and I'm just going to put my nose up the inside of turn 4 here and get the move done on him up the inside there. Again, a pretty decent run through turn 3, which seems to be a very big strong point of my car, and that allowed me to pull alongside him and make the move. However, Nasr, once again, similar to Jenson Button, is trying to come back at me up the inside of turn 5, but I managed to hold it around the outside, and Nasr could not really overtake me there. So this time we do get the move done, and we're up in the P12 now. Moving later on onto the start of lap 3, and the Mercedes at the front are setting the lap times. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get past Kevin Magnussen here in the Renault, side by side down the pit straight once again, and it's going to be a battle of the late breakers once again into the first corner. And like I said, no one's really good any better than me at the brakes of turn 1. I'm pretty the best on the grid because I really like the turn 1 braking point here, and then a very nice late braking move there on K-Mag. And now we're getting a beautiful run on Marcus Ericsson. We actually have to let off the throttle a bit because Ericsson was running out a bit wide and sort of swung back onto the racing line, but we do make the move up the inside of turn 4 on the Swedish driver there. So that is us up into the points now. So great stuff so far this race, really making some solid progress, and we're only on 3 laps and we've still got another 30 odd to go. So great stuff so far, and we're now on the back of Danny Kvyat, who set the personal best lap of the race for ourselves. And we're going to use the DRS here. Even though Kvyat has got DRS, we're going to have more straight line speed than him, and we're going to go side by side into the first corner and once again beat Kvyat on the brakes there. And we're now up in the P9, and we've got Sergio Perez right ahead of us here as we make our way into turn number 3 now. Once again, pulling off the switchback here on Sergio Perez, as you can see, just like I've done with many other cars this race, the lovely little switchback move through turn 3, working an absolute treat so far this race. So great stuff for that move. And moving later on onto lap 6 now, a couple of laps later, we had to press on a little bit and pick up our pace, and eventually we caught up to this sort of 4-car train with both Williams and both Red Bulls here. So these are some good points up for grabs here to really make it some just a bit of a dent in the championship here and try and get ourselves into a possible upgrade position as we go up the inside of Max Verstappen into turn 1. Once again, my best overtaking point of this track. But we're now out right on the back of his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and we're going to try and pull off a carbon copy here of what we did to Sergio Perez literally 1 lap ago, getting a beautiful run through turn 3 and then looking up the inside of turn 4, and we're going to outbrake Daniel Ricciardo there in turn 4. So great stuff from me, and Daniel Ricciardo, one of the best late breakers on the grid, but we managed to get the edge on him on the brakes there. So great stuff there, and this Ferrari really working well at the moment as we're now trying to size up Felipe Massa for a move here. We're going to try and have a look up the inside of the hairpin there, but there's just no room, and Massa there leaving it very late, but he just about manages to keep his car ahead and swing in front of me and shut the door on me clean. But I'm not going to have none of it, as I'm going to try and get a beautiful run here on Massa into turn 12, and we're going to make the move nice and easy there up the inside, and Massa this time can't shut the door on us, and we get the position there for P5. And we're actually going to come to the pit lane because that was the end of our stint, and I feel like if we pit now we could easily undercut Valtteri Bottas and clear him for good. So obviously that would mean great for us, because we could honestly, once we pass Bottas, we could really charge hard and push for my teammate and also both of the Mercedes. So that would be a great stuff for us if we could really make this undercut work. So here we go, we're coming into the pits, and we've been held up here a little bit. I think Vettel might have just pit, so Ferrari have really got that one wrong, and I'm being held up so long here. Oh my, 4 cars have been held up, so that is not gone well at all, because I was hoping to do the undercut on Bottas, but I've actually lost the position to Felipe Massa, who's ahead of me. So a terrible pit stop there from Ferrari. For some reason they called me in the same lap as Sebastian Vettel, and I didn't pay attention. I didn't know Vettel was in the pits. So terrible strategy call there from Ferrari. We are going to get past Massa pretty swiftly here around the outside because he's on cold tyres, but we've lost so much time, and pretty much any sort of chance out of an undercut on Valtteri Bottas has pretty much gone out the window here. So terrible strategy there from Ferrari and a terrible pit stop, similar to real life really, just not really getting their act together whatsoever. So we actually come up behind Verstappen, so really poor strategy there, and we're going to have to re-overtake Max Verstappen now. So here we go on lap 9, through turn number 9 itself. Also Illuminati confirmed. We're going to try and go around the outside of Max Verstappen into the hairpin of turn 10. We're going to pull off a little switch back here on the apex, but Verstappen on the fresh tyres has got enough traction to stay ahead for the time being, so I can't make the move there on Max just yet. We're going to try and maybe go a move here as we get a brilliant exit similar to Felipe Massa. We're going to have a look up the inside once again through turn 12, but there's still no room there, and Max defending quite nicely from me so far. And just hit up the road there, you can see Ricciardo and I think Bottas, those are battling, so those are our target, and if we can pass them, then that will set us into some nice clean air to try and push really hard. So here we go, pulling off a move on Max Verstappen, moves some DRS down the pit straight, easy stuff there, breeze past the Red Bull in a straight line, and that is the move done and dusted, and we're up on a P6. So now we can try and hunt down Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas like I was saying before. And on lap 14 now, as you can see, Ricciardo's making a move on Bottas here with some DRS. Now I'm going to try and benefit from this also because I've got DRS, and we're going to try and go into turn 1 here and try and size the move here and take our time, bide our time, and wait for the moment to strike, just like a snake here, like a cobra. We're going to trample off the lovely little switch back here on Valtteri Bottas through turn number 3, getting the better traction and speed through the corner, and we get the move done there for P4. And we've now got Daniel Ricciardo ahead of us. So for some reason Ricciardo's in 3rd place, so someone must have pit, either Vettel or Hamilton or Rosberg. One of them must have pit for some reason for an early second start, but either way we're on the back of Ricciardo now at the end of lap 14 here, onto the pit straight, DRS wide open. It's going to be a carbon copy of what we did to his teammate Max Verstappen a couple laps ago there. So easy move for P3, and we can now push the remaining of life that is left in these tyres, and that was exactly 1 lap before our second stop of the race. And I'm going to come in for another set of medium tyres and try and push a little bit more on these tyres and then go primes to the end. But the skies are going a bit grey up above, so it could be some rain on the cars. We have to keep an eye out for that. But look at that, once again Ferrari have pit me, and Vettel was in the pit lane just ahead of me there, and this time this pit stop's going to be even worse. Why? We've lost the position to Ricciardo again, so Ferrari have got this all wrong. It's just strategy blunders everywhere. I don't understand why they're making me pit on the same lap as Vettel. It makes no sense at all. If they just told me, I could have pit a lap before, a lap later. And look at this, we're going to lose the position to Carlos Sainz as well. So terrible strategy there from Ferrari. So I'm not happy with that one bit. I'm going to have to go have a little chat with them after the race. But meanwhile, we're going to put off a double overtake on Ricciardo and Sainz because of the cold tyres that Ricciardo was on. And we're going to regain P6 there, but more time lost there, not good whatsoever. So a very poor strategy from Ferrari. But moving later on onto lap 19, we overtake Rosberg, who's in the pit lane, so he must have been the person who was stopping quite early. And moving on to lap 21, the rain has made an appearance, so we are coming in for intermediates this lap. I can tell you we're going to come in for the intermediates because the track is getting very wet here, and we're just on the back of Lewis Hamilton. Now the problem here is, once again, Sebastian Vettel has pitted right in front of me. Now this time I can sort of understand, because obviously when you go onto the inters, you need to go when the track feels like it's wet. So this time I'm not so frustrated because I can understand Vettel and myself, we just had to pit when the time was right, so that's fair enough. And at least this time we didn't lose a position, so that's okay. I don't mind that too much. But the other two pit stops were just unacceptable, so I'm very poor from Ferrari, like I said. But we're going to rejoin in P3 here in these intermediate conditions, and we've got about 12 laps here to try and possibly win the race. But Vettel, my teammate, in the lead at the moment, doing a fantastic job up front. He's actually pulling away from Hamilton in these intermediate conditions, and meanwhile I've co-opted to Lewis, and we're all over the back of him here going into turn number 3, trying to just find a way through. But Lewis is doing some great defensive driving so far on lap 26, and now we're going to get a brilliant little run on turn 3 here into turn number 4. We're going to try and look up the inside of Lewis, but there is no room there for the move, and Lewis so far holds on to P2, so great defensive driving from the world champion himself. But we're going to try and size him up for a move once again, possibly here, as we get a pretty decent exit out of turn number 6 here, and we're right in the slipstream of Lewis Hamilton. We're going to pull to the inside, and we're going to go up the inside of the chicane hopefully, and Lewis gives us the room, and there we go, we make the move, and that is us in the P2, and finally we get the position there, and it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. So great stuff so far this race. And once again, I know this is going to seem ridiculous, but look at that, there is Sebastian Vettel once again pitting, and this time we're coming in for the full wet, and I'm coming in behind him, and there's literally nothing I can do about this because this is just the position I'm in, and where the rain is coming down. It's just one of them ones where I'm literally defenseless. So once again, I'm going to have to stack behind my teammate, and this is going to be the longest one of the race. And as you can see, I'm looking behind me to see where Lewis Hamilton is, and there he goes. Lewis is pit, so we're going to lose the position to Lewis once again in the pit stops. For 3 out of 4 times this race in the pit stops, we've lost the position there, so not very good. But this time, there's, like I said, similar to the previous pit stop, there was nothing that I could have done differently. You know, it's just one of them ones where with the change of conditions, you just have to pit when you feel like it's the right time to pit. So we're going to have to re-overtake Lewis Hamilton here on track if we can overtake him in these wet conditions, because obviously the track is getting wetter, and this is suiting our default setup here. So here we go, we're on the back of Lewis now through turn 3, and similar to Ricciardo, he's on cold tyres, so we're going to get a brilliant run on him here, and we're just going to pull up the inside and go alongside him into turn number 4. We're just going to get on the brakes a little bit later and make the move up the inside and take the racing line there. But Lewis is going to try and fight back, but eventually he just gives up and lets me have the position because he knows that I've got the pace around here. And on the end of lap 32, we can see we've caught up to the back of Sebastian Vettel here, and we've got 1 lap to go, so we could possibly try and win this race. We're a little bit far back, sorry. We are about a second behind Sebastian, so we're going to need a pretty good final lap here to try and overtake the 4 times world champion. So hopefully in this cross we can try and pull it off this lap now, as we skip later on to the end of lap 33. There's a little bit of traffic here ahead of Vettel. Fernando Alonso is holding Vettel up here, so we could potentially literally line up Vettel for a last gasp overtake here through the final corner, trying to pick up the traction here, going through the gears, but it's looking like Vettel has got the better traction. He's going to win the race, and I'm going to come home for P2 across the line, and that is a 1-2 for Ferrari. Great result, and I'm not going to complain. P2 is good enough for me. I will take that. We beat both of the Mercedes, and that is a fantastic result for the World Championship. So overall, probably the best I could have hoped for. Vettel actually has some incredible pace in the wet there. I literally could not really match him. I was catching him, but it was only like 10ths each lap, so not really the sort of inroads I was hoping to make on the 4 times World Champion. But overall, P2, 18 points, and I think I maintained 2nd place in the championship, so that is very solid for us, and that will do me very nicely. So obviously 2nd place, we're going to look now, but I believe that means that is going to be 2 upgrades. But first of all, we're going to look at the final race results and also the World Championship standings to see how things line up, and then we'll move into the upgrade situation. So here we go, looking at the final race results. Sebastian Vettel wins with myself in 2nd, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the podium with Rosberg in 4th there, and then it's both Williams in 5th and 6th, and then Verstappen in 7th, Danny Kvyat in 8th in the Toro Rosso there, Kevin Magnussen in 9th for Renault, and Marcus Ericsson in 10th for Sauber. So the bottom 3 there of the top 10 get some pretty good points for the respective teams, and Daniel Ricciardo way down in P12 there, so no points for him. So disappointing race, considering he was well in the points earlier on when I was trying to battle with him. So Red Bull quite disappointed with that one. But overall, those were the race results for this race, and we're now going to move into the World Drivers' Championship to see, I think, shape up for the next race at Monaco. So as you can see, looking at the Drivers' Championship, we've dropped down to 3rd place actually, losing a position to our teammate Sebastian Vettel, and just look at that, the top 4 covered by 22 points already, so an incredibly tight top 4 there, and literally anyone can win the championship with them. Both Williams in 5th and 6th, and then it's basically both Red Bulls, a couple of Toro Rossos there in the latter end of the top 10. And looking quickly at constructors, Mercedes are actually staying ahead, but they're only 2 points ahead of us now, so we've managed to make up the gap in this race to Mercedes, and we're pretty much neck and neck in the constructors. But looking at the permutations now, and the 2nd place at race means we're going to get 2 upgrades, aka 2 spins off the wheel, so that is pretty good for us. And once again, another 2nd place this season, so that seems to be the trend. Yet we're still winless this season, but we're now going to spin the wheel, and let's see what the first upgrade is. And it looks like it's going to be the the rear suspension. So finally we get a rear end of the car upgrade there, so great stuff. So that is the first upgrade, and then we're now going to look at the second one, and we're going to get the rear toes, so 2 rear upgrades. So fantastic stuff there. And finally we've had a little bit of luck with the wheel, because we've had quite a few jokers in the past, but finally we've had 2 very solid upgrades there, and they're both towards the rear end of the car, because that is the part of the car that I've not even touched yet. It's all been front end upgrades, so very crucial for us, and that's going to come in really handy for the next race in Monaco. But nevertheless guys, if you have enjoyed the video, then please do leave a like on the video. I'd greatly appreciate it if we could hit 80 likes. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And if you're new out here, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. And yeah guys, that's about for this video, and I'll see you in my next one soon. Goodbye.